Today, a deep dive into all the crazy election noise.
We'll break it out. First, voter suppression and mail-in fraud.
Then, the looming fears of what happens if he won't leave.
And then, a voter's guide, how to vote safely.
I'm Steven Rosenbaum, and this is Future Forward.
And I'm Alexa Scordato. Let's launch.
And we are here. Welcome to Future Forward. We're going to try as best we can to really focus in this half hour or so on some very specific things. And we're going to do it in three parts. We're hopefully not going to get too sidetracked by the noise, because the noise really is the thing that I think is causing exhaustion.
It's so hard to keep up.
Yeah, and we don't, dear listeners, dear viewers, we don't want you to be exhausted. The exact opposite. We want you to be
sane, informed,
and engaged, and so let's just start. So chapter 1 is this voter suppression mail fraud thing, and we're just going to dive right into kind of what's the realness here. So we're starting with a New York Times article from a couple of days ago. This is the Christopher Wray testimony. I have to say, my immediate reaction, and I know this is going to sound weird, I just thought he was incredibly brave.
Yeah, I mean, he was unapologetically honest, which is a little bit sad to say. Like, I think he completely tried to discount what Trump said about mail-in ballots.
But when you're in the federal government and you make the decision to say something publicly, like, you know that you've got this junkyard dog bully character who's just looking for a leg to gnaw on every given day. And you're essentially like, it's like being a bull, being a matador, and waving a red flag. If it happens that you're the one that he goes after, really bad things can happen to you. I mean, really bad things. Not like, oh, he'll hurt my feelings, but like when he sets loose his angry mob on you, it's not just nasty tweets.
Right. But I think we're getting to a point where, there is democracy on the line. And so if folks like Christopher Wray feel like they can't speak up, then I don't know. It puts everyone in a really bad place.
So this article essentially says, for those of you who are following the news, you probably know this already. Essentially, there is no mail-in fraud. There's none. There's no evidence of it. There's no reports of it. Period. Full. I mean, there's the occasional kooky person who goes in with 2 ballots and tries to stuff them both in the ballot box. But it is negligible.
So my understanding is that I think someone told Trump that in Pennsylvania specifically, there were maybe 8 cases where mail-in ballots didn't have the right envelope or something. And then he sort of took that piece of information and said that all mail-in ballots are basically disaster.
So I don't know why I'm thinking this, but I woke up this morning thinking about my son when he was playing soccer. And he got off the field. It was early in his brief soccer career or whatever it was. He was in high school. And he said to me, there's this one kid on the other team, and every time he runs by me, he trips me. And the coach and the umpire doesn't see it. Mm-hmm. And, as a parent, I found myself thinking about what advice I give him, because one piece of advice is, look, don't cheat. That's not sportsmanlike. Don't do that. Don't trip him back.
Right.
And the other part of me, as the father who doesn't want their son to lose, says, look, if that's the coin of the realm and, the coach and the umpire isn't seeing it, then you're just going to have to play a little dirty kind of because that's what's on the field.
Right.
Those are two bad answers, right?
Yeah.
So if you think about, so part of me thinks shame on Trump and the Republicans to know that just based on the data, based on where the demographics of the country are, they're gonna lose. And the only way they're not gonna lose is to cheat, is to scare people, to confuse people, to tear up their ballots, to keep them from mail-in voting, to, to make to pretend that coronavirus has gone away. So people will go, so his supporters will masklessly go out into the, and vote. But that's, I mean, I guess, McConnell's answer is, whatever it takes to win. But that's pitiful, right? I mean, that's really
the state that we're in is really scary. But hopefully the good side will prevail.
All right, so we're amplifying this bit of data from the New York Times, but it's also, for those of you who say that, we have friends and followers who think that the New York Times is, quote, fake news, whatever. Everyone who's middle of the road has somehow become shoved over to, the fake part. This is a Christopher Wray testimony. You can find it on anywhere. Now, I have to say, I did this thing earlier in the week. And it was a little. I went on Fox News. It was a big news day. I don't remember what catastrophe was going on, but I went on Fox News, and just to look at the homepage, and I mean, it was all about going back to the fake Trump. What do you call it? Attorney General. Basically, it was retreading, Hillary email server, and it was amazing to me. Like, all the old, from the top of the page all the way down, and I just found myself thinking, it's worth remembering that Fox News is the #1 most popular news site, quote unquote, news site in the United States. So for people who watch only Fox News, their reality is dramatically different than ours.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't make much of a point there, did I?
No, I mean, it's just true. I think, who was I talking to? Someone saying like, all the parents who are worried about what video games would do to kids, Fox News has done to them.
All right, so let's move on. We're going to stay on this first point, which is, essentially whether or not there's voter fraud. So this is a BuzzFeed news article, and the headline is Trump and the Republicans are doing everything they can to confuse voters before the election. I have to say, I mean, part of it is COVID for sure, but I can't think of a time when I've ever been confused before an election, except this one.
So what are you confused about?
I'm in New York. So there's this drumbeat of your vote doesn't count. Your vote doesn't count because you're in New York, and New York is liberal, and New York's going to vote for Trump. So if you're worried about your health, stay the fuck home. Mm-hmm. I don't accept that. Then I ordered mail-in ballots. They're coming, but I think I will want to vote in person. So I guess I think I'm going to the polling place the first day it opens, wearing a mask and gloves. And if it feels unsafe, I'll take my mail-in ballots and put them in a Dropbox. But
I thought it was I voted in the New York primary in June, and I thought it was really well managed. There was social distancing, hand sanitizers. They actually gave everyone a pen, and they were not reused, so you took it home with you. So to the extent that the surface contact was minimal, I thought they did a good job.
Yeah, but here's the thing I'm thinking about in terms of voter suppression. I work from home. I have a good boss. I have a good gig. If I said, hey, I've got to be off on voting day for an hour to go vote, no one would care. If I said, hey, I have to be off for 3 hours, no one would care. If I go, if I go and the line is around the block and there are people not in masks and there are people chanting and there are Trump, I don't know. I mean, at what point will I feel like I'm in danger?
Right.
And given the drumbeat of your vote doesn't count in New York, danger. So like, I'm going to go and endanger my life for a symbolic vote.
Yeah, no, I can totally see that. So you're saying that what you're worried about, though, in general, is voter suppression happening where people who have 9-to-5s or long shifts or 2 jobs aren't going to be able to get to a polling place.
Oh, no, worse than that. Just hourly workers. If I said to you, voting's going to cost you $50, would you do it?
I mean, I would, but
no. So what's the number at which you wouldn't? 500, 5,000?
Right.
So there's a number at which you would not vote.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're an hourly worker delivering food or working in a deli or working, at any, and the cost to you of being off work for a couple of hours is going to mean you're going to have trouble feeding your family that week.
Yeah. No, I totally understand. I mean, I think this is why we didn't include it, but I'll send you this article from Miami. So the Miami Heat they were trying to get American Airlines Arena to sort of be a voting site, so that they could actually staff it and make sure that they canvassed or made available the widest window for voters. And instead, I don't know what county it is, but instead their request was denied, and it's going to be held in a museum, a nonprofit museum, instead of a super funded NBA arena.
The request was denied. I wonder what that means. Well, all right. So
Florida being Florida,
All right. So let's stay with this first chapter. We're basically, if you don't understand voter suppression, I have a really easy way for you to get it in one super tasty bite, and that is the Stacey Abrams documentary that's on Amazon. It's not gotten a lot of press. Not sure why. It was released a couple of days ago. Here, we'll play a little bit in the background. It's easy to forget that Stacey Abrams was extraordinarily ripped off, cheated, whatever. I mean, the dirtiness of the Georgia race and the way in which the head of elections was also there was a whole creepy, dark chapter. And this doc will lay out for you in graphic detail just what voter suppression looks like. And you will know it when you see it after this. So, all right. Anything else on voter suppression, mail fraud? Mail fraud is nonsense. Voter suppression is real. Those are your two.
Yeah. Voter suppression is real, but mail-in ballots is not as controversial as Trump would like you to believe. If you need to mail in a ballot, you should feel confident that you can do so.
Okay. I'm still nervous about that. All right. So chapter 2. So there's this what if he won't leave conversation that's going on. This was an article that was written in the Atlantic by Barton Gellman. It laid out with some mechanical detail the way in which Trump and his minions are planning to control the electors.
Mm-hmm. So let's start out by do you actually think he would not concede? What is the percent likelihood?
70.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think 70. I think he's never conceded anything in his life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know who's got his ear to say this is different. I mean, maybe it's his daughter, maybe it's his sons, maybe it's.
You did predict though that he's saying all these things right now around voter fraud, so that when he does lose, he can make a big stink about it. And then if he does have to concede, he's just going to say, "Well, it was unfair."
Yeah, I take.
And that like he might still have to leave office, but at least he can sort of reinforce this narrative that it was unfair.
I take that back. I don't feel that anymore. I think something's changed. I think so many people have come out against him that it's him against the world.
Okay. So let's break this down then with in terms of what happens.
Yeah, go ahead and do that. Would you just explain it to our audience? I'm going to run for 1 second because someone's banging on my door. I'll be back in just 2 seconds.
Yep, sure.
But go ahead and just talk everybody through
it. So basically, if you read the Atlantic article, it sort of starts by saying, well, what happens if on election day, Trump and his allies suppress the Biden vote? I mean, what you have is almost like a scenario like we had with Florida with, oh my gosh, was it? I'm totally blanking on the two candidates. But anyway, we would have to then go to, we wouldn't find out the day of the election, right? So we would have to count all the votes, and then it would ultimately go to the courts, right? And so let's see, and then the courts would have to basically decide what happens. And so this is why the Supreme Court nomination is so critical, because it could ultimately decide the fate of the election. Ooh, let's see if I'm alone here.
I'm back.
Oh, you're back. Sorry, I actually thought I lost the feed because your screen went off.
Nope, I'm here. Sorry, delivery guy, wrong apartment, banging on the door.
What I was just saying is that we wouldn't find out the day of the election, the votes, and then it would sort of mimic what happened in Florida with who are the two candidates? Where is it Gore?
Yeah.
Right, and then it goes to the courts, and this is sort of why this discussion around the Supreme Court nomination is so controversial, because it could effectively decide the victor.
Yeah. Okay. We could do a whole show on what's going on with the Supreme Court. I have some very strong feelings about it. Let's not do it today, because I think the next 2 weeks are going to be fraught with this stuff. So if you haven't read the Atlantic article, you have to read it, because it's pretty clear to me that there are some mechanics at play. And what's interesting is if you look at the list of people that are waving their hands in the air, military people, ex-Trump staffers, ex-employees, like people that it does seem, I just would like to see a list of all the people that are saying there's a lot at stake here.
What I think what I had a hard time following in the article was, it was basically talking about what is a worst case scenario with the Electoral College and votes coming in by election day, or sort of continuing to trickle in afterwards.
Yeah, and then I have to confess, I only sort of understand the states can essentially overrule their populace, and particularly not the governor, but within the state legislature, they can choose to essentially reassign electors.
Right. So there's something about the electoral college process that makes this hyper confusing, at least for me. Like, I remember when I first learned about the electoral college, I was like frustrated because I was like, what do you mean the popular vote doesn't mean a thing?
Yeah, well, if the popular vote meant something, we would have President Hillary Clinton in the White House. All right, so now let's just take our last few minutes and dig into how we're going to vote, how we should vote, how to vote safely. And we're going to try to make this as clean and simple as we can. And I think we should start with, Alexa, your news.
Oh, so my lease ends in New York at the end of this month. So this week I'm actually moving to Pennsylvania. And so I actually went through the process of changing my voter registration to Pennsylvania. So I will be a swing state voter. It was fairly straightforward. I had to submit a photo of my passport. So I didn't even have to change my driver's license yet. And then give my Pennsylvania address, and it was processed probably within a couple of weeks. So the deadline was October 17th, but I did not want to risk cutting it that close. And so, I applied online, and then they sent me a voter registration card in the mail.
So I just want to say, on behalf of our audience and our viewers, I think what you've done is unbelievably awesome.
Yay!
And I think we should all come and move into your house.
Awesome.
We have hundreds of us.
We have like a few extra bedrooms. You can pitch some tents in the backyard. So
I want to vote from your house. And all right, so we're all moving to Pennsylvania. By the way, it's beautiful. Beautiful state.
What is wild, though, is the county that I'm moving to. Hillary lost by 28% there in 2016. It's about 45 minutes east of Scranton. And every time I've gone there, there have been probably 90% of lawn signs for Trump. So we'll see if my my vote makes a difference.
So, it's interesting. We should talk about the lawn sign disparity.
I don't know thing.
I don't know what it is. I feel like the Trump, whatever they are, fanboys, are like, they feel like they're fighting for their place in America. And I think Democrats, I have a window. I have a whole bunch of people that see my window from my neighbors' windows. I haven't put a sign in my window. And I don't see anyone else with a sign in their window. I don't know why that is. I mean, maybe because we assume, maybe I don't know. I
wrote an article about strategies for preventing lawn sign thefts, because it actually is a real thing. So you have people putting like glitter and Vaseline on the lawn signs, or even things like animal urine. But I think the most effective strategy is to put a little note that says, if you steal this lawn sign, you're just supporting the other candidate, because I'm just going to buy another lawn sign, which is going to go equal more campaign dollars.
Fascinating. Okay. I get that. All right. So we put up, this is a Bloomberg.com URL. And it's basically, the headline is basically how to vote in 2020, everything you need to know, September 25th. So it's recent. And basically, it just lays it out really nicely. When is my voter registration deadline? How do I vote by mail in my state? It's very, as you'd expect from Bloomberg. It's very clean and well organized, and highly recommend it. Just Google, how do I vote in 2020? Everything you need to know. And that is pretty much, so let's go back to the 3 chapters of the show. So the first chapter was voter suppression. The second chapter was the looming danger of him not leaving. And the third chapter was voting safely. So, everyone take a deep breath. First of all, it's still a long way away. It's essentially a month from now. I didn't count the number of days. I should have. There's a date counter thing, but it's not tomorrow. The media is going to go nuts. I mean, I hope that the battle over the Supreme Court is going to be massive. But at least so far, the media's feedback has been essentially there's no way to win this.
Yeah. Oh, we're 39 days to go, by the way.
39 days.
38, sorry.
So what can we do between now and then? I mean, every media source I know is, please vote. Everyone vote. Everyone's trying to be nonpartisan, but clearly, the urgency is about the danger of another 4 years. Here, I'll give you a creepy one. Not that I want to end on a dark note, but so presumably Trump has a list of things he can do between now and the election to continue to own the media cycle. And, so the debate is coming up on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
So
watch.
Yeah.
I don't think I have the stomach for it.
I mean, Trump is going to be horrible. He's going to be his mean, nasty. He's going to call names. He's going to say, you did he's going to make all these unsubstantiated allegations. And Biden is going to be low key, even tempered, but hey, no biting. Sorry. I'm being bitten by a puppy.
Like that strategy I just wish Biden could just nail more fierce and ferocious sound bites. Like all the vitriol that Trump spewed against Hillary, like the servers, and just, Biden just needs 5 of those, rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
This is where the Democratic Party really fails in terms of just being consistent. We can't stay on message. Yeah.
No, he controls the narrative, and it's infuriating.
I think if Biden can just keep saying 200,000 lives lost, 200,000 lives lost, 200,000 lives lost.
So here's a scary thought. If Trump has to nuke somebody to stay in office, A, would he do it? And B, who would he nuke?
Who?
Yeah.
I mean, whoever is pissing him off. And
at the moment, everyone's hiding under their collective desks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean to keep lurching, but there's a puppy biting my foot really, really, really hard. I know. Now this is the time to bite me? Okay, fine. He's going to, he's got up his sleeve. He's going to mail checks to everybody. He's going to, send a boatload of money to, Cuba, or not Cuba, to, I don't even, to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Before we wrap this episode, so I know some people who aren't going to vote in New York State because they're not excited about Biden and they don't dislike Trump enough to sort of feel like they have any skin in the game. What is your message to people who are choosing not to vote this election?
I would look at them and I would see if they were, let's pick a list of things they could be: gay, Hispanic, Jewish, Black, of color, entrepreneur, startup founder, student. Let's keep going.
Immunocompromised.
Yeah,
condition.
Pre-existing condition, which everyone I know on the planet has one. Needing healthcare. I mean, you have to understand that Trump's made it really clear what he's going to do with his second 4 years. I mean, he's literally going to burn the country to the ground. He's, I posted something on Facebook the other day and a Trump supporter responded, "Hey, based on your last name, it would be easy for Trump to decide that you are an immigrant and deport you."
So scary.
Okay, I was born in this country when my mother was born in this country, but because my last name is Rosenbaum, you think somehow I'm going to be deported. Yeah.
So you're saying that vote because our democracy depends on it?
No, vote your self-interest. Pick the thing you don't want to go away. And if the answer is you are a white, high school educated, auto, hot rod owner, gun toting, auto body repair worker, then your friend's going to vote for Trump or stay home.
Yeah.
I'm with that. I have to get off because I'm going to have a little pup. You want to see the puppy?
Yeah.
Oh no, he's just going to bite me.
Okay. Well, check your voter registrations, register to vote, and vote in person if you can. But
Pennsylvania, we're all coming to your house.
Yes.
All right. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.